I am calling to order the Sherborn Select Board meeting of Thursday, October 9th. It is 6:33 p.m. In attendance, we have Dan Sickle, Marion Neutra, and myself, Stephen Tsai. Absent currently is Jeff Waldron. He should be here later. And then Paul DeRensis will be absent for the entire meeting. We are going to begin with an executive session with open session to commence at 7:30 p.m. or hopefully shortly thereafter. If we could begin by having the Assistant Town Administrator read the executive session agenda, please.
Good evening. Item number 1 is pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property where the chair declares that an open session may have a detrimental effect on the board's negotiating position, and it is 21A, Section 7, to comply with or act under the authority of the Public Records Law, General Law, Chapter 4, Section 7, 26, regarding 2 Whitney Street, and privileged written legal advice regarding same. Item 2, pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A and 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, where the chair declares that an open session may have a detrimental effect on the board's negotiating position regarding 2 Leland Drive. Item number 3 is discussion regarding the collective bargaining strategy for negotiations with Sherborn Police Association, Mass Coalition of Police, Local 158, Police Bargaining Union, pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3 and 7, and Suffolk Construction versus D10, 449 Mass, 444, parentheses, 2007. Item number 4 is the strategy session to prepare for contract negotiations with the non-bargaining unit employee pursuant to General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21A and 2 for the town administrator.
Thank you. And I just want to note that Jeff Waldron has entered the meeting at 6:30. Well, he entered at 6:34 p.m. All right. Are there any revisions to the executive session agenda? All right. Hearing none, can I get a motion relative to the executive session agenda?
Move approval of the agenda as read by the Assistant Town Administrator for the executive session.
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. We can vote in person, right? Yeah, all in favor. Oh, I guess executive session, does that have to be roll call anyways? All right, we'll do a roll call vote for all the executive session stuff. So Marion?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I'm aye as well. And as the chair, I do declare that executive session is necessary for the purposes listed in the agenda. So I move that we enter into executive session.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Marion?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
And I'm aye as well. Thank you and welcome back to the Sherborn Select Board meeting of Thursday, October 9th. We are back in open session, and if we could begin by having the Assistant Town Administrator please read the open session agenda.
Good evening. After I read the agenda, the board can vote to amend or approve the agenda. I've had a request for public comment tonight. Nancy Hess is here. Items may be taken out of order and topics not anticipated 48 hours in advance may be added. Item number 1 is Coolidge Crossing Medical Commons project update and discussion of support. Jeff Heidelberg from Toll Brothers is here. Item number 2 is the consideration of signing a letter of support for Save Money with Clean Heat. Amelia Landau, Sustainability Manager. Item number 3 is a roadway work update from Sean Colleen. Item number 4 is the reserve fund transfer for a water treatment at Pine Hill Elementary School, Sean Colleen. FY27 budget development with Jeremy Mysett. Consideration of appointment of John Rose as an assistant plumbing and gas inspector for a term to expire June 15, 2028. We have a consent agenda for the TA payroll, a one-day liquor license for Thomas Grennan from Simple Service for an event on October 25th at the community center, and draft minutes of August 28th and September 11th. Select board reports and town administrator reports.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda.
I have
Oh,
one,
you want-
yeah, one. I want to suggest that item 2 be saved for our next meeting.
Could it be what?
Be safe, that we postpone the discussion of item 2 to the next meeting. I think there's some
Okay.
more discussions that are going to happen
Oh, all right,
around
okay.
around that.
All right, so we have an amendment to essentially postpone item 2 until our next meeting. Any other amendments? All right, can I get a motion relative to the amended agenda?
Yeah, I move that we approve the open session agenda with the addition of postponing item 2, consideration of signing a letter for support of Save Money with Clean Heat.
Thank you. Tom Trainer, 97 Washington Street. Any explanation for why postponing your discussion on item 2?
One of the select board members wanted to get additional information about it from Amelia and wanted to speak with her offline about it rather than in the public session. And so we're going to do that, and then we're just going to, there doesn't seem to be a particular time-related deadline to it. And so Amelia has already been contacted, and she was fine with postponing it in order to discuss it more.
Thank you.
So, all right, so it's been moved. Has it been seconded?
Not yet.
All right.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, public comments?
Well, I'm afraid I'm a little late, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to commend Fire Chief Zach Ward and his department for the amazing way they honored former Chief Bernie Heckman last month. At his wake, his funeral and cemetery services, and with the reception at the firehouse. It was a well-deserved tribute to the man and his family who had given service to the town in many ways through the years. Zach's department served as an honor guard at the multiple venues, taking the position seriously, professionally, and with a great deal of very visible respect. The department used the old fire truck as a hearse for Franny to take his final ride, with firemen in full gear standing in front of the station to salute him as he made his way to Pine Hill. The honor guard again took his place at the cemetery for final words and Navy representatives to play taps. Then all were invited to return to the firehouse where the department hosted a lovely luncheon. An incredible piece of work, so thank you, Chief Ward and your department. It was Sherborn at its best.
Thank you very much.
Oh, so noted and well said. And I went to the cemetery and the firehouse session, so it was very, very well done. And quite a few people were there, including a lot of fire department officers from, some of them 40 years ago that I talked to, that came back for it, because he'd been, 51 years, I think it was, on the fire department, something like that.
Long time.
Yeah. So anyway, it was a really well done ceremony. And they had that 1929 fire engine?
I don't know.
We've now acquired back from Holliston that fire engine they bought in brand new, maybe, no, it was 1935, I think. It was at the Harvest Fair, but it's now, we're gonna insure it and have it be, you can probably update me, Jeremy, but it's now gonna be a Sherborn fire engine again. So yeah, Zach did an amazing job. The whole department did, Sean and everybody else. Joe, was really helping lead the ceremony, so it was terrific.
Great. And
Thanks.
I'm actually going to make my own public comment right now. So about 4 hours ago, I had a tooth extracted because it was fractured. And I went to Dr. Lily Ling, who sent me to a periodontist, but she believes that it's because I've been grinding my teeth too much because of stress. And so I'm just would like to put the entire town of Sherborn on notice that if you are causing unnecessary drama, it's stressing me out, and can you please stop because you broke my tooth?
I think it's those cats or dogs or what.
I saw
On behalf
Dr.
of
Ling
the-
a few years ago for a fractured tooth.
Oh, yeah?
So I think it's kind of going
Oh,
around.
yeah.
On behalf of the town, I want to apologize for your fractured tooth. Actually, I grind my teeth as well.
Yeah, oh,
for the same
careful,
reason.
careful, don't do it.
She can do it.
As an employee, I want to mention that I have currently a fractured. Perhaps, maybe I need to get that fixed.
Entirely too much stress going around in this town. All right, so with that, item number 1, Coolidge Crossing and Meadowbrook Commons update and discussion of support. And we've got Jeff Heidelberg here from Toll Brothers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Let's see if this pulls up. All right. So thank you very much for meeting with me this evening. I'd like to give you an update based on where we are. We have been working on this project diligently, although it's been mostly in the background. A lot of you heard from us quite frequently over the last, 2+ years since we got involved. We've really been pushing pretty hard, especially these last, I'll call it 10 to 12 months, once we started breaking free some items on the infrastructure side, on the water and sewer. So I'll get into detail on that, but just to start off as a reminder where the location is, we've got Coolidge Crossing on Coolidge Street. The 40B portion of the project is the apartments, 3 building apartments down here. And then further off to the rear, I'll call it, there's the 67, 55 plus active adult community. Changes since the last meeting, there you go, is since you've seen this last, I'm sorry, Will was unable to make it tonight. He is traveling, but he's the representative from Toll that generally works on the apartment side. He has committed to a passive house building. So what that does is it increases the amount of insulation. There's solar ready. There's a lot of additional energy code requirements that need to be met when it comes to a passive house building. In order to afford agreeing to that, he is looking to add 16 units to making the total of apartment units to 136. Again, 25% of it is affordable, and the benefit here is he's able to fit those additional units within the existing footprints of these buildings. So we're not looking at expanding the building footprints, we're just looking at changing really the mix of the unit types. So
We're
that's
somewhat familiar with it because we made that a requirement, as you probably know, for single-family homes in Sherborn. So we went to town meeting and we explained it in that venue.
yeah. So passive house is a very high threshold to meet,
Right.
so.
As far as the unit count, that Toll Brothers is aware that they'll need to seek an amendment or change from
Yeah.
the ZBA for the
Yeah,
comprehensive permit. And all of the 136 apartments would be counted on your SHI count. So
Good.
they're proposing
Yeah,
actually
that's
add
great.
16 units to your SHI count.
Right, exactly.
if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And the reconfiguration is like more 2-bedroom instead of 3-bedroom, for
Exactly.
example. Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. As far as the 55 plus active adult community, it's the same as you had previously seen, just showing a typical home type here on the slide, just as a reminder. So where are we? First off, the biggest thing that we were able to accomplish is just this past week, we were able to file our draft EIR, draft environmental impact report, with the MEPA office. It was a 1,000-page plus document that covers absolutely everything that we've done on the project and even predates us. So as you know, we're probably the 4th, 5th developer involved on this project. It encompasses all of the work to date, and it responds to a scope that was provided by the MEPA office to the ENF that Pulte had received back in 2021, I believe it was. So we were able to file that. In doing so, our opinion was that the biggest outstanding item was water supply. the DEP, WRC, throwing out a lot of acronyms, just stop me if you don't know who they are. So they were pushing for alternatives to seeking water from Framingham and then disposing of sewer in Natick. The view on that was this is an interbasin transfer. It sits in two different watersheds. And so for that reason, it goes through many levels of scrutiny at the state level. And they wanted us to exhaust all other possible alternatives to doing this transfer. So that culminated with an approval, permitting effort and approval with DEP to install and pump on-site wells to see if we could get the yield necessary to support the full project from an on-site water supply. We found that we were not able to obtain enough yield from the wells that were installed, which allowed us to move forward with this filing. Once we were able to satisfy that level of testing, we were then able to say, okay, we've exhausted the on-site, we've reviewed the local watershed as well for other opportunities. Now our only remaining option here is to further our progress that we have been making with the town of Natick and city of Framingham. So with that, we have filed the DEIR. And we expect comments over the next month. So through November 7th, comments are accepted by the MEPA office. And then 7 days thereafter, the MEPA office will deliver their scope for the final EIR. So that's the next step that we need to follow through the state. I'll get into a little bit more detail, the state permitting process on another slide, but just know that we're working through the state process in concert with working on the local level as well. So in the meantime, while we're working through that state process, again, there was a little hesitancy on our part to make sure that we exhausted all the water sewer issue first before we were full press moving forward on our local permitting processes. Notwithstanding, Will has filed a notice of intent locally for the apartments, and they'll be looking to file the comprehensive permit amendment that Jeremy just referenced next month. And we expect that the 55 plus active adult side would be filing by the end of the year. So we're working with our engineer to get all of the drawings and calculations pulled together so that we can file by the end of the year. So the expectation is we'll be working through this local process while the state's finishing up their review. We'll get a new scope from them, and we'll continue to work both together from that point on. One of the big items that we are focusing on with the town's support has been the North Sherborn Water Sewer District. With your assistance, that had been formed. The legislation had passed back in December of 24. And since then, the district has been having meetings. We've been trying to support their formation through drafting some bylaws and regulations for their review and discussion. What we hope to have happen is if the district can pull everything together by the time the final environmental impact report is due, that will allow that FEIR to serve as our application to the Water Resource Commission to allow that transfer of water. So we're working with Jeremy and others to try to make sure that we're aligned on that effort. And so I think the last item here is we're trying to expedite to construction. So it's been over 8 years that this project's been worked on, and I'm sure you guys would like to see it succeed. We'd like to see it succeed. There has been an effort as far as the state's concerned. They've been engaged with us. So we met with the undersecretary this week to discuss the project, to understand what concerns the state may have a little bit better. So we were ensuring that we're responding to any concerns correctly and appropriately. As I think everybody knows, with the housing shortage, this is something that the administration is focused on. And so we're pushing to see if we can get everything resolved as quickly as possible. our goal here really is we want to be under construction by the end of next year. That's our hope, that's our expectation.
That's pretty good progress.
It is. So as I mentioned on that earlier slide, this North Sherborn Water Sewer District is a main focus. Part of this is furthering those agreements with the adjacent municipalities. So there's these intermunicipal agreements that the district will need to enter into. There's been progress made on that part. And at the same time, Toll Brothers ourselves, we're entering into a developers agreement for mitigation to their systems as well. In addition to the IMAs, we're working on those. And we're hoping that we can come to a resolution on that end to have an agreement in place through the IMAs and developers agreements by the year end. That's our expectation on that. Just quickly, you don't have to actually see this slide and read all the details on it. This is our permitting path. What's circled in red on the left is where we are. We have a long path ahead of us. We understand this, it's a large undertaking. This is what we were reviewing with the undersecretary, was making sure that we're crossing off all of the items on the list so that we don't get surprised come August next year and say, hey, you missed this part, you got to go back here and restart a path. So we're making sure that we're all engaged on the right path and in agreement on the steps that we need to follow in order to get to the finish line so that we can start building permits. That's the goal here. So that's where we stand. Again, we feel really good about where we are today after getting that draft EIR submitted. That was a massive undertaking for our consultant group, and appreciate all the help that the town has provided to date on that effort. And we know we've got a long road still ahead of us, but just getting to this point itself has been a huge undertaking. We really appreciate the town's support.
Great, thank you so much, Jeff. And obviously, Marion and I are both part of the North Sherborn Water District Commissioners, and so we know how much effort you've been putting in, and we certainly appreciate all the help that Toll Brothers has provided. One question I have for you would be, in addition to all of the things that the district is working on, and then also getting the IMAs worked out with Natick and Framingham, is there anything else that the select board can do that would help to sort of support the project and keep it moving forward?
I think the number one avenue that we can gain support in is with the state. So as we move forward through this draft EIR comment period, if the select board deems it acceptable to add a support letter in, we'd appreciate that. There will be another opportunity to do the same once the FEIR gets filed, but that support, it would mean a lot. It shows that the town's behind this project just as much as Toll Brothers is, just as much as Framingham and Natick.
Yeah.
I would supplement that too, because I get asked every now and then by James Arena DeRosa and Becca Rausch. So I think maybe we should just brief the two of them.
Yeah, I
So
have,
they know, like even have it on an agenda to brief them or figure out a way to brief them, because they both, I spoke to them on different issues and they both were interested in it. And when James and I we did a cable TV thing promoting regionalization, and this was one of the examples we cited there. So I think that would help also, because then they can be working,
I have reached out to both of them.
Have you? Yeah.
Not since these latest developments, and plan to reach out again now. They're waiting for me to ask them to support this, to write a support letter.
Why don't we just do an abridged version of this so they have some data or understand? A abridged version of this presentation for the two of them. What do you think of that idea?
We could do.
Couldn't hurt.
Yeah.
I also have sent them both a shorter summary,
Okay.
and I was kind of waiting to get to make sure I was clear on how to submit letters before I go to them. But they're expecting. I talked with Becca's main aide maybe a week ago,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just expecting the go-ahead to write a letter. And we can send, for example, our draft letter that we've drafted now and is ready to go. And remind them of the summaries that I've already sent. And I think we should easily have their support. We know we have their support already. Just
Yeah,
a
but
matter of getting the letters in to
it's
the
just
state.
put it on the top of the radar, so.
Exactly.
So there is a draft letter for you to consider in your packet.
Right.
You stop the share.
I know Dan has reviewed it and made a nice revision.
It's good. It's a good letter.
If we can, I'd like to get that draft letter approved by you guys tonight, so that we can send it in whenever.
Sounds good. And Charlie's running for mayor of Framingham again. I'm not sure he's gonna win or not. He's Mr.
Yes,
Framingham
mayoral
for
race.
sure.
Framingham. And there's a fall town meeting in Natick, so yeah, we're trying to for attention.
That's good timing.
A question for you, Jeremy, and for Jeff. Should we solicit support letters from Framingham and Natick to MIPA?
That could be
makes
helpful. I
sense.
think both have expressed support. So,
Mhm.
you know, if you would like to request more of a formal support letter from them.
I think that
we
would
can
help.
Sure, yeah. Yes.
Because you had coordinated with the woman that was their select board chair, Natick, hadn't you?
Right, it was. She isn't anymore, but I think
About a month ago, she stepped down from the chair. She's still on the board, but
Oh, okay.
you're connecting with their chair and town manager to set up a meeting to continue
Mhm.
discussions on the IMA.
So that might be a good time to solicit that letter.
Yeah.
It's going to happen fairly soon, I think, right?
If not
Natick at
next week,
least.
the week after, yes.
I'm not sure who to contact in Framingham and or who you should contact.
I can talk to the mayor's office and
Okay.
request that. I mean, it's always helpful if there's a draft available for
Right.
them to consider, so
Sure.
if we could sort of draft something up
Mhm.
together to send them, that it might expedite it on their end.
Yeah, we could do that.
Great. But was everybody able to read the draft that's in the packet?
Yeah.
Great. So then I guess I would entertain a motion to essentially support or endorse this letter that we can then start circulating.
Yeah, because we got one change, right? Didn't get amended today?
Yes, there
Yeah.
Yeah,
was.
one
It's a
word.
great letter. It's a terrific letter.
I move to endorse, approve the letter as drafted and circulated this afternoon.
I second.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Great. Well, I mean, it's pretty clear that you have the support of the town. I don't think we would be here, as you said, 8 years later if if we didn't support it. So again, I think that just keep us apprised of anything that's going on. I'm sure that you will be a semi-regular in the water district meetings probably. And we certainly appreciate all the help and guidance that you guys have been providing. So helping us keep everything moving forward is great. And from the select board level, we'll continue doing everything that we can to make sure that people at the state level are also aware of the project and moving it forward as needed.
Really appreciate that. If there's ever the opportunity that you have us present the project to any group, internally, externally, just let us know.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
we'll see. Basically, we'll probably figure out what if James Irvina DeRosa and Becca Rausch, if they want a sort of in-person presentation type of a thing, then we'll probably try to kind of rope you into that. But if they're okay with just sort of receiving emailed drafts and updates or whatever, then I think whatever is the most efficient way to keep on going, we'll try to push it forward. But we'll let you know if we would like another presentation from you.
And Jeff, as a reminder, when are the comments and support letters due?
November 7th.
Right.
Pretty short.
Yes.
So we've already reached out to all the boards and committees, and they're just waiting for more information about how to submit. And this is our letter, and I'm signing it, and I'm going to pass it around.
That's great.
All right, so, thank you so much, Jeff. Item 2, we are postponing, so item 3, well, I guess the next 2 we have are both from Sean, so, first up would be roadway work update. I know we have a summary sheet here also that's been provided to us, but take it away.
Good evening. Sure. Pretty late to be doing this in the year. But I'm gonna pretend winter's not coming for a little while longer.
It's not gonna get quite as cold as they're saying tonight.
What's that?
It's not gonna get that cold tonight.
In the next 12 hours. So we recently got notification from the state that we could use the Chapter 90 money that would normally have been, released quite a while ago. So what I sent you, actually, you forward both. Not that it matters, but.
I'm not sure.
They've got copies of both.
Oh, there's.
Okay, so for reference, I sent what I brought in March. And that was basically before the season. And I somewhat modified it. It's a little bit messy, but I wanted to just modify what I had before. Because normally we would have done this in March and July, but the state's way behind. So we're at the very tail end. I was able to get into the schedule with Lynch and with Allstate. Lynch does our paving. They have our roadway management for everything except for chip sealing.
They're great.
Allstate Asphalt does all our chip sealing and the shimming before that. So you'll remember in the spring, amongst other things, we rebuilt the whole neighborhood, Bear Hill, Wildwood, everything else. So we already did that. That's kind of why I left it here on the list so you'd see what we did. That was a combination of Chapter 90 money and the annual town meeting money. And then what I had presented before, but didn't have, we didn't have the funding for until we had the Chapter 90 money was Woodland Street.
Mm-hmm.
There's about half of Woodland Street that never, we didn't finish a couple of years ago. So we want to get that because it's really bad, and we'll lose the whole road. So we took another look at it this summer, repriced it up to mill certain sections, and then basically lay a shim course and another course over it to build the road up because it's pretty thin. It's an old road. It's pretty thin. So that's the first half of this is to do that. Chapter 90, I've already submitted that to the state, and they approved the project for the 273,868. And then for anyone that drives on Maple Street, you'll recall last year, we regularly, or the cops regularly, just stuck cones in big holes. Even though Maple Street was only redone 9 years, it's just about 10 years old. It's an old country road. It was never built like any of the highways that we have. So it moves around a lot. Last year's frost really beat that road up. There's a handful of places that have just totally deteriorated. It's not something we can just stick some crack seal in and hope it sticks. So we have the opportunity now, late in the year, to bring the A crew in to shim it, which is that, that kind of checkered, they just shim all those spots. Exactly, leveling course, a shim course, prior to doing the rubber or stone chip seal. So we would expect next summer we'd chip seal it. You can wait till the spring to shim it right before you chip seal. The problem is that exposes the road for this winter. And if we get a bad winter, it's very predictable what'll happen. The road will be much worse. We'll need much more material to shim it, and we'll be out there constantly. We'll be putting cones in it right after we snowplow. So, and it may fall kind of off that proverbial cliff where we can't just chip seal.
That's the really big concern.
And then we have to mill it and do another overlay
Mhm.
and short cycle some other roads that should have. So, this is, for roadway management, this is what we talk about, is catching the road before it falls off the cliff. It fell off a little faster than we wish it did. Roads aren't lasting as long as they used to. Some of the top coats aren't as good as they were 10 or 15, 20 years ago. And some roads just don't because they're not built the same way. And we're never really gonna have the option to rebuild Maple Street as if it wasn't a cart path to begin with. We're probably never gonna get there. So the best thing to do is try to chip seal it. That'll kind of give it that elasticity that normal asphalt doesn't have, and hopefully get some longevity. So what we're asking for on that is to shim it this fall. And I showed you what our allotment is for Chapter 90. It's likely that would only take a few days to get that approved, so I can get both of these scheduled. And by the end of October, likely have both of them done.
That still leaves us with about 150 in the allotment too, because the total of these two that you're asking for is whatever that is, 425 or something in that neighborhood, right?
Exactly.
That's good. Yeah.
So we,
Cover the chip seal or.
Yeah.
for
No,
Maple
that
Street.
gives you
right,
some
we might
flexibility.
pull something off before July 1st.
Flexibility there. Yeah, that's a good plan.
And
Essentially, this will complete what was presented earlier this year, and essentially just shuffle the Washington Street work with this Maple work.
Mhm.
Since we're hopeful that Washington Street will get funded with state funds from another source. So, Sean will be able to get done all the roadway work that we discussed earlier this year. Just swapping out Maple and Washington.
And you could still get on everybody's schedule. That's great.
I kind of snuck onto their schedule.
They're in town right now doing some work.
Yeah, Lynch is doing
That's
work
great.
right now. But the paving crew, I'm catching them kind of before they throw mothballs and everything.
I mean, as long as we don't get in a cycle of some wet weather, like maybe starting on Sunday.
We're not gonna, Jeremy.
Okay.
Like all next week.
I'm just trying to line paint, so of course it's starting to rain. That's how we get out of droughts every year, when I want to put the fogs and yellows down, which was gonna be Sunday and Monday this coming
I
week.
know, it's gonna be a messy week.
It is a good solid month or more of paving weather.
And this Chapter 90 allotment, 560,000, that's increased from last year?
So last year's money is spent.
Yeah,
That's the allotment for this year.
right, but,
It's basically untouched at the moment.
yeah, but this year's allotment was higher than last year's,
That's
right?
correct, and that's
Oh, yeah.
what we see going forward.
Okay,
The state threw in some extra money, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
but we expect that,
However, we're getting it later, so I mean, this is this year's money coming and being available at the end of the construction season.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not,
Should have been available July 1st.
yeah,
And almost always is. Usually we get the letter in April or May, you can fund it, we'll approve the projects. Can't get reimbursement until July 1st. They're not doing that. Which also, for a small community, and I talked to Jeremy about this, my fear is this is gonna unleash a lot of work in the spring,
yeah,
or a lot of funding in the spring,
yeah.
and no one's gonna answer the phone when Sean calls.
so it's good that we can spin this work out.
But why did the funding come in so late this year?
You'd have to ask one of the senators, perhaps, or the governor.
Seems to be coming later and later. This year was different in that they did increase the amount. It was 50% higher than it has been for 10 plus years. The state Mass DOT is allowing projects to be approved for expenditures, but we still can't seek the reimbursement until they've approved the spending, but they haven't actually approved the bond funding at the State House. It will get approved.
So there's some piece of legislation that the legislature needs to
Yeah.
get to that they just
They
haven't.
haven't yet. For whatever reason, it seems to be later and later every year.
And it's not an argument about formulas or anything like that. It's just
No, they posed it.
Process.
they just need to
I
get
mean,
all
there was
the.
a
Right.
big update to the formula by way of adding funds to it and changing some calculations to weight of roadway miles instead of population. That helped a town like Sherborn. But the process of the State House just seems to take a while. And, this is literally this year's funding and it's just now being accessible.
And how much did we approve at town meeting for roadway management this year?
It's on my other sheet. I didn't print, look on the March sheet,
Do I have
the
it?
very bottom of the March sheet, I'm sorry.
As
So
of
do you
March
have one?
I'm
20th.
gonna say the wrong thing.
Anticipate, 350,
350, yeah, that's what I remember.
yeah. Okay,
So that essentially got spent in the Bear Hill Wildwood neighborhood.
I see, okay, got it. Got it, okay,
And it was a little bit of a shell game because some of chapter 90 money could have been spent, but they never released it.
yeah, yeah,
So there was chapter 90 money that went into that because it was previously, I was able to use last fiscal year's money.
okay,
But this fiscal year's money is still untouched.
okay. But that basically represents the amount of money you have to spend this fiscal year, is the
Yeah,
chapter 90
350
money.
plus.
Chapter 90.
Yeah,
What-
but the 350 you said you've already basically
It's already
spent it,
expended, yeah.
It's been spent and or committed.
and, yeah,
Crosswalk project
got it.
is basically the rest of it.
Got it. And so Washington and Woodland are gonna have to come later with a separate funding source.
Woodland's what I'm asking you for.
Wait.
Woodland and Maple.
Oh, all right, sorry, Woodland.
Washington.
Out of the
Yeah,
current
Woodland and Mason, yeah.
There's a non-chapter
Washington.
90 fund for state numbered routes, which I've asked them to put that on the list along with South Main and several others.
Okay.
Uh,
Great. So you need us to vote on this?
Like it to.
We voted on the 273 and the 446 is what we voted on.
Right. All right.
And not the 146?
146.
Yes, both of
Yeah,
them.
both of them, right?
Both of them.
Not the 446.
Not the 446
Yeah,
at the top. Yeah.
273 and the
Yeah,
146.
okay.
Yeah, the lower half. I left the top up there.
Oh, I see.
Basically the leftover.
Good background, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
I
two
only have
sheets.
one
Okay.
page. No
Now we-
wonder I'm having-
Now we have the complete set.
Steven, you want me to make the motion?
Sure.
I would move that we approve the paving on Woodland Street with the chapter 90 funds from this year for $273,868. And that we also approve funds to pave a shim coat on Maple Street this fall. And the shimming cost is estimated to be $146,250.
All right, so moved.
A second.
All right, moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks.
I just drove from New Jersey and the people in the Merritt Parkway are in your boat too. They're trying to pave the Merritt.
Merritt?
Parkway this
The
fall.
Merritt?
I'll take working on any of our streets, right? With traffic going by
Exactly.
75 miles an hour.
They're going crazy.
Yeah.
All right, next you've got a reserve fund transfer.
I don't know who had time to read through any of it, but the long and short, there's a couple things going on. As everyone knows, we're in kind of the early stages in some of the facilities and a little bit further on in others with the PFAS treatment. That this facility, this campus, we're a little further ahead. Pine Hill's a little bit behind because it wasn't at the same level of PFAS. But two things were going on at the same time. At Pine Hill School, keep in mind, they have their own public water supply up there. They have a well. The tank, Jeff, you'll love this, is the original of the building. It was put in
I
the
know, I
building.
read
They
the
built
whole
the
thing.
building around it.
I know.
It's
Which
a 5,000 gallon
That's
storage tank.
1955 or what year is that year?
I think it's 56.
56, yeah. I mean, that's,
So with an old atmosphere or pneumatic steel tank, every couple of years you have to send someone in there. They have to
a
clean it.
60-year-old
line it.
tank.
So they were working on that. DEP, you do a sanitary site survey every year, and they kind of give their list of, here's what you're going to be required to do. There was a pretty significant project that was going to need to take place on this tank. At the same time, we had our consultants looking at, okay, what's going to need to happen when we upgrade the system and try to find both a physical place and the means to do PFAS treatment. And it happens to be in the middle of the school. It's not even an exterior wall behind the music room. And you can imagine a 5,000 gallon tank is from here almost to the wall. It's huge. It looks like a submarine in the middle of the
They're
building.
huge.
So it's taken up a ton of real estate. And they were gonna have to do a project that was probably $50,000 to $70,000 just to cut holes in it and, you know, spend half the summer lining it and everything else. And it wouldn't have helped us gain the space or, so we looked at it we had already looked at it with our engineers on the project that we're working on to remove that tank, get it out of there, put in a pump, you know, a smaller tank with the variable speed pumps, everything else. It looks like two projects, but it's basically one that enables the other. So we probably thought we had another year, but DEP was mandating that
Tank.
the work be done.
Yeah.
And it should be done because it's health related, you know, it has to do with the water quality. And for us, it has to do with getting one step closer to doing the PFAS. So that's kind of why we're in this mid-year cycle. I wish we weren't. It accelerated, you know, we wanted to try to get this one done and then the other. But, and again, the school, we work on a 10-month cycle with the school. You better be ready because, you know, about July 1st, you got to be under contract and doing construction because you get just under 2 months to do a project. So that's our timeline.
Yeah, so DEP's essentially given us till next year to get this, the actual work done. So to seek funding at a Springtown meeting, we would need the engineering funds to do a design, do a bid, and then go into town meeting with a bid number to get the construction funds. And that would allow us to meet the timeline set by Mass DEP for removal of this tank.
Yeah, that's the key part. It's not a guesstimate. And we have, you know, we spent 43 grand to get a decent design that you can do a much better estimate for
Right.
town
I think
meeting.
we might actually even get it bid.
Oh, I think it'll be out to bid.
Yeah,
We need to be under construction July 1st. So we basically need to be out to bid contingent on town meeting.
yeah.
Town meeting votes on the funding and
I think it's great.
Yeah, no, that does sound like a good
So-
thing to get going. Just two quick things. So DEP insisted that it be done now because the water quality didn't hit some metrics that it's supposed to hit.
yes, there would be other work on the tank that would be
Really,
required. So our response
so it
was,
was either fix that tank or do something better.
exactly.
Okay.
So, you know, we already had to respond. And it was a combination of myself and Jeremy and obviously the school. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
They're not here tonight, but they're,
The fix of the tank was pretty expensive as well.
And-
I mean, we didn't get that, but it's a significant cost just to fix it.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck with this submarine in the middle.
Right.
right, you're fixing it right before you're gonna cut it in pieces.
Put in the PFAS
And
filters.
with this engineering order of magnitude for actually doing the project,
The engineering on this is a little surprising. It's not like a 10% deal. They give any indication?
I mean, I'm not trying to pin you down to a number. I'm trying to get a sense of is it like
The full project?
150,000 or 500,000?
By the time we get to PFAS, I think we're at 3 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah, with the PFAS treatment.
With
For the tank removal.
Right,
um,
2,
Okay.
maybe.
Okay.
It's hard to really
Yeah,
estimate.
no, I get that.
And this
I'm
is-
just trying to, you know, is this,
Yeah, it's a couple $100,000.
is this a small number or a, you know, a big number or a giant number? Just
And just
for that.
for that, you'll remember a few months ago, Jeremy, we were awarded 2 different grants from DEP. It was actually EPA money for this water system in Woodhaven for 100,000 each. So I immediately reached out to DEP once we started working on that and said, can we be invited to ask for that at Pine Hill? I already made it through the first phase. They wanted some tighter numbers and of course I can't give them. So it's queued up and ready
what do we need some-
for the next phase of funding. I think it's highly likely we'll get that.
Which would be like another 100K, yeah, or something.
You know, whether it comes in for that construction or for the PFAS implementation. I'm not sure of the timing, but.
And there isn't really an option to not do this, right?
No,
Right.
there,
So,
there is not.
yeah.
I'm not, yeah, I don't like backing the town into a corner. We were inadvertently backed into a corner.
yeah,
This comes of it, it's what's called a sanitary survey that periodically Mass DEP does for all public water supplies. They go around and inspect the whole water system, the wells, the plumbing, the piping, and look for areas that might cause contamination or
mhm,
might cause a public health risk, and this is what was noted.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is by far the most important
Yeah.
facility to be doing it in. I mean, at town hall, we often,
Oh, yeah.
we don't take it as seriously. Everyone's drinking bottled water. No one's cooking here.
yeah.
And we're not kids.
And
On the population of Pine
Exactly.
Hills.
Yeah.
So, you know,
On a
we're
daily-
working on Woodhaven and Leland.
Can you sell the old tank on eBay like as an antique or something? and-
65-year-old water tanks are a dime a dozen,
Bring it
right?
over there.
make a good plan.
Liable to be in 50 pieces. So,
Yes, it's
Yeah.
not gonna be any good.
And again, not that this would stop us from doing it, but anytime there's a major project at Pine Hill, I always have to think about, so what is the expected lifespan of the new equipment and what would happen to it if and when that the school gets majorly renovated?
So the lifespan of the filters, I don't know, probably a couple decades, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, the media inside filters needs to get replaced, as it.
Right.
Maybe 2-3 years.
The likelihood is,
Filters themselves are good 20-year.
as I think we all know, we're not knocking that building down
Right,
in our lifetimes. So that piece of infrastructure has to exist
yeah,
until there's a 100,000 gallon tank on the top of Pine Hill and the water's coming from somewhere else. So if someone wants to work on that really quickly before next July, maybe we can get out of it.
Yeah.
But I think even more so than the air conditioner and else, that piece of infrastructure is critical.
right,
And would carry over and.
And certainly would.
Majorly
Yeah.
Right, no matter what we do with that school, unless we tear down a whole wing of it, that boiler room's gonna exist.
right.
And all that infrastructure in there, the well's not gonna move unless it fails and we have to re-drill it, which,
All right. And have you brought this in front of advisory yet, or?
no, we kind of missed their cycle because they just had their first meeting. So that's next week?
Next week, it'll be on their agenda for next week. So,
Okay,
it's a recommendation from the select board for
Yeah.
approval, but final approval is the advisory.
Yeah.
In this case.
all right. Then I would entertain a motion relative to the reserve fund transfer request.
Right, which is, what is it, $43,500?
$43,500.
I second it. Or I make the motion that we approve $43,500 for the engineering analysis of the tank replacement at Pine Hill School.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded, all in favor?
All right,
Aye.
nice work, Sean.
All right, thank you, Sean.
This is actually fortuitous, I think, in a lot of ways.
All right,
I've had no,
All right.
next, fiscal
Thanks.
27, budget development, Jeremy Marset.
Yeah.
Yeah, once again.
Once again, yeah,
Nice.
we're back in the budget season, talking about fiscal year 27. I've had, as Sean mentioned, advisory has had their first meeting. They did reorganize. They have their officers in place. I believe they're still short one member from a full complement. So they're standing at 8, but they're a functioning committee and have started to lay out their schedule and process for considering the budgets for FY27. Talking with the chair, he would like to approach this in a similar way as last year and the year before. So, he's asking for the support of town administration and the finance director in the same capacity as last year, and we're happy to help. Also talked to the capital budget committee, which is the other piece of the budget, the operating budget and the capital budget. The capital budget committee does not plan on starting their meetings until December, They have asked that I put out a guidance letter like I did last year, but in this year, it wouldn't be with the benefit of a cover letter from the Capital Budget Committee. They would like assistance gathering all the capital requests and putting that together, and then they start their meetings to review in December. So.
Is the capital budget committee members the same as last year?
They are, it's the
Okay.
same committee.
Okay.
So they're essentially wanting to do it a similar way as last year. However, the front end, they're putting a little more of a request on myself to gather that, and I'm happy to do that. Have all the pieces and tools in place to do that, and I'll get that underway shortly.
Is Nora the person that's on advisory and capital?
She is.
She was last
She's
year.
actually on the meeting this evening. She's listening in.
Yeah.
Advisory,
They haven't, they probably haven't decided that yet though, right? Probably advisory.
advisory what?
They probably haven't decided yet who necessarily would be their representative on, I mean, I would assume that it's gonna be Nora,
I
but,
believe they have. I
Did they?
believe Nora has
It
been
is,
tasked.
it is I.
okay, great.
They have yet to determine the liaisons to the various
Okay.
departments. That will be coming up in the next couple weeks or so.
Who, have they designated the kind of backup advisory member, since there's often a kind of number two who's the backup or in training on capital budget? Nora, if you,
No, they have not.
thanks.
Do they have all nine, or are they waiting to?
Yeah, they've
They
eight.
have eight,
They
they're waiting
wait
for
right
one
now.
more.
One vacancy, if anybody knows.
So if you know anybody.
I know, not anybody that I would want to ruin their lives.
It's not so bad.
I know, I did it for two, I did it for 3 terms, okay, my friend, and this is my 3rd term on the select board.
So this is, similar to last year, just a little background on the budget and the players. The town Sherborn has no charter, so the Mass General Law and town bylaws and, general tradition kind of set the process for budget development. You have fiscal guidance policies that were adopted by the select board and advisory a few years ago. I think it is time for you and advisory to reconsider. It was last adopted in 2021. Based on the most recent S&P rating, it may be opportune to revisit those financial policies, especially in light of reserves and some of the things they noted. Sherborn's debt rating was reaffirmed at AAA, but they did say that they're going forward, they're looking differently at how they do the rating. So based on that and some other things, you may want to reconsider some of your financial policies as by way of your reserve limits and your priorities as you set budgets. Here's some of the guiding principles of your fiscal policies. I'm not going to read all of these. This is a summary from your policies. All the policies are on the town's website, so if anybody's curious to see that. Under the town website, under the town administrator, there's a finance section, town finances. It includes all of the guidance letters from previous years, the fiscal policies, various budget development documents from the last several fiscal years. But 2 of the points up there, just to note, one is to identify priority services, appropriate service levels, and administer the expenditure of resources to assure fiscal stability and efficient delivery of services. I think that really summarizes it pretty well, what you're trying to accomplish in the budget development. And then that last bullet there just kind of reinforces what S&P kind of pointed out to be concerned about, that you will want to maintain reserves, contingencies, and fund balances at levels sufficient to protect the town's credit, as well as its financial position for emergencies. So guiding principles in your budget development, what we will relay to all budget makers, what advisory will likely reinforce in their guidance letter, which they have started discussions along, what will be contained in that. The next several meetings of advisory, they'll develop that guidance letter along with some input from the personnel board as far as what COLA adjustment may be for non-union employees, And the budget development process, as I noted earlier, the chairs of both the capital budget and advisory wish to follow a similar process as they've done in prior years. So we will support them in that task. And, you know, keep the board informed as things progress.
Can we pause and ask a question?
Sure.
You mentioned that S&P, and I remember them saying this in the call, that they altered the way that they the algorithm that they used to calculate the ratings, and they intimated that their new way was probably actually less favorable to Sherborn, but I don't remember them giving the detail about what that was. Do you happen to know what it is and what ways that we could?
Which is, you know, they just physically can't change. One was they were looking at smaller town populations less than a certain amount. I think it was 5,000, that in and of itself was not favorable. Obviously, that can be changed. But they were looking differently at the amount of reserves, the accessibility of reserves, stabilization funds, and you know, any potential risks that were associated with that.
So does that suggest we should increase our reserves?
Yes.
Okay. But is there any sort of guidance as to, like, I don't know, maybe percentage of overall town budget, you know, the various reserves, or collectively the reserve should be a particular percentage? Was there a
Yeah, they
target,
didn't give
basically?
any specific guidance along that.
Eh.
And we've asked the Department of Local Services and the DOR what their guidance might be, and they've said it depends on your situation. So it requires a little bit more thought than just, oh, that's what's recommended, we'll use that percentage.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
And they calculate reserves, or we calculate reserves as a percentage of what?
Generally, as a percentage of the operating budget, that's usually what it's compared to, that you have so much in a comparison to your annual budget.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing that our free cash is pretty high right now, and my assumption was that we were going to try to be more aggressive with paying for capital items using free cash, but if the better strategy is actually maybe to put more of that into the reserves, we can do that. Just the money in the reserve funds is not actively doing anything for the town, so.
To come in. So, so, you know, traditionally you funded capital from exempt borrowing or free cash. There are potentially, this year, there's two other potential sources that you have. You've built up some fair balance in the capital stabilization fund, so that could be a source. You have funds, you know, once things are settled with the library, you have the settlement funds from the library that could be a source of other capital or even a source of funding for stabilization funds. So just in the, you know, in the lead up to the development of FY27 budget, here's a summary of what was approved at last town meeting. I'm not going to go through it in detail, just kind of point out a couple of the keynotes as we consider FY27. There were some one-off savings that the school department did realize for FY26 that are not likely to continue into FY27. So the changes year over year going into 27 are not likely to be the same as we saw last year. Health insurance, as you know, continues to be a budget stress. That was mitigated a little bit last year with the good experience that the town had. And also we took advantage of, Deb did some sharpening of the pencil as far as what we had in there for number of employees and retirees covered. So the actual increase in the premium was closer to 8% or more, but the budget impact was only 6% because we sharpened our pencils. Again, that's not something that we can continue to do. You can only get the pencils so sharp.
And in fact, we're anticipating health insurance is going to be significantly higher than this, right?
Yeah, so the forecast, we had the first meeting with Maya, our carrier, last week. Some of us also have gone to a summit that the MMA put on regarding health insurance costs in the Commonwealth for municipalities. and got some of the bad news there. But we've been directed to plan for 10 to 15% increases year over year. And likely more closer to the 15%, the higher end of that, for employee coverage. And for retiree coverage, they said to plan for a solid 15, if not more, percent increase for retiree coverage. That is in the absence of some sort of plan change that changes what coverage is offered.
Jeremy, for Tri-County Minutemen, with their construction, obviously that's a big expense on all the towns, but over what time period is that extra bump in costs?
Yeah, and that's why there was you see the little bigger bump in that line. That included the debt service cost appropriated to, or apportioned to Sherborn.
Right, so that's ongoing.
And some adjustments to enrollment. So there will not be, unless the enrollment drastically changes, the Tri-County and is not going to, assessment would drastically change.
It'll stay at that higher,
It'll stay at
close to
At
that.
the higher level,
That
but
is our-
stable, okay.
Baked into the budget.
We actually have 3 or 4 students there now, including Sean's son.
So I hear.
So we used to be spending that with no one there for years.
Minimum enrollment is 5 though, right? So
Is that what it is, 5?
I think
Yeah,
so.
we're paying for
We're still paying for
Pay for
Five.
five.
I don't know what the number is, but
It's gotten competitive.
Butler's
Yeah,
son is
as
there.
they
and
expand their
Sean's son is
programs.
there.
We may have more students, which would be fine.
Yeah.
So to fund that budget, most of the revenue comes from property taxes. Over 90% of the budget is funded by property taxes. On average, property taxes would go up 3.4% to fund the 26 budget. The other smaller forms of revenue are local receipts and state aid. The forecast for state aid is not looking great at the state level. Their revenue forecasts are not splendid, so it's not likely that communities will see a large increase. May be lucky to see a level fund in state aid.
Some of our costs, though, our regionalization, some of our costs don't reflect the regionalization fully, like a veteran service being shared between several
Yeah,
towns.
all of that would be, yeah.
That might be
revenue.
a minor amount, but it'd be a
we're-
reduced cost amount.
You're avoiding some potential costs.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And then this is just a visual on what, your budget pays for. Significant amount to the schools, about a quarter to municipal services, and then a quarter to insurance benefits, debt, and interest. Some of the insurance benefits are could be allocated to the schools for the Pine Hill Elementary School and to town employees. An overview of how Prop 2.5 works, and the big number we've been tracking year over year is that excess levy capacity. So it's the calculation of how you arrive at that. The excess levy capacity is the amount of funds that are available until you hit your levy limit, which would then require an operating override if you wanted to increase your budgets more than 2.5% plus new growth year over year. So that excess levy capacity which is currently at 762,000 has been a number that we've been tracking to the way to guide your budget process. And here's where that blue arrow is where we sit, and that's the "you are here" arrow. Wait, let's skip this slide. Here we go. That blue arrow is the "you are here" arrow. You see this is the excess levy capacity back several years to the current, the blue arrow. And I did do some modeling of the FY27 budget and input some assumptions, assuming a 3% increase in the municipal budgets, a 4% increase on the school budgets, and inputting numbers for the increased regional emergency dispatch. We know that assessment is going up, and putting in a 12% increase for insurance, calculated what your excess levy capacity would be, and you can see that FAR number, that's FY27 with those assumed inputs into the financial model, your excess levy capacity drops further down. This next slide is the percent year-over-year in budget increases. Again, you are here, your budget this year had a 3.5% increase. With those assumptions I just mentioned, that would be a little over about 4.3% increase in your budgets. Some things just to note for the FY27 operating budget, we talked about the health insurance benefits, regional dispatch. Currently, this budget has $80,000 for regional dispatch. We're likely going to need to fund it at about $210,000, so that will be a budget increase in that budget line. A 12% increase on the employee and retiree health benefits is about $230,000 of the budget increase. On the personnel side is your COLA to consider for non-union employees. Every 1% in COLA is about $30,000 in your budget for non-union employees. We're currently negotiating the police CBA, and FY27 would be the first year of renewed educators and a school CBA. So that is certainly a consideration in the development of the FY27 budget. And I think that covers this slide. As far as revenues, really no new revenues to consider for FY27. And there's the all-important new growth, which we'll capture the best we can. It's a history of free cash. As you know, the free cash has just been certified for the close of FY25. So it was certified at just over $3 million, which is similar to last year. So that is good, and that free cash is a form of reserves. It's not as protected as stabilization funds. So when debt rating agencies consider reserves, they don't put it higher a stake in free cash because it's easier to access.
Could I ask another quick question?
Sure.
Do we know how high they are with the excess and deficiency? Are they close to the 5%? They can't go over 5%, I think. Is that right? At the regional schools?
Yeah, last year, I believe they actually dipped lower
Came
than
down
they historically.
Much closer to 3%.
Yeah.
Because they had, remember they had the various cost overruns that they
Yeah.
used E&D for.
It wasn't a strategic choice. I think they just actually needed it.
Yeah. Okay. Sometimes they're hiding
And
funds.
they will probably be
always-
trying to get it
Mary
back.
Hope and I got $1 million out of it one year, probably about 7 years ago.
I think it's a perennial advisory thing is to
Yeah,
find
exactly.
find it.
Yeah.
This is a snapshot of your reserves, including free cash, your general stabilization fund, and the sum of the two. Hard to read over here, but your financial policy guidance suggests that your stabilization fund should be a minimum of 2% of your operating budget, with a target at 3%. You are at 3% currently. The balance in your stabilization fund is 1.1 million. So you're just over 3%. So hitting that target amount. Financial policies also state that free cash should be a minimum of 3% of the operating budget with a target of 5%. You're well over the 5%. At 3 million, you're closer to 5 or 6% a year. You're closer to 10% of your operating budget actually.
Yeah.
So that is good. The other stabilization funds that you have the OPEB trust, which sits at 3.7 million. And the capital stabilization fund that I mentioned has a fund balance of $450,000. So that could be a source of capital funding.
Do you happen to know, does S&P view it more favorably if you use capital stabilization to fund capital as opposed to just straight free cash? even if the stabilization fund is mostly being funded by free cash anyways?
They would look at it even more favorably if you had a regular stream of income. to your
Yeah.
capital statement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
So you would
Would
make,
be nice.
intentional appropriations into it.
yeah,
If there was a more regular stream of funds into that stabilization fund, that would be
Yeah.
better.
yeah,
But it's good that you have it. It's a form of reserves.
Yeah.
And it, another source to offset or, not use free cash for capital.
yeah. Well, I've come up with one idea for funding the capital stabilization fund, but it'll be unpopular among the department heads.
That's what I have on the operating budget. As far as capital, here's a summary of what was approved last town meeting. Amounted to about $3.5 billion in capital. Lots of progress on projects that have been approved. We will begin soliciting, updates from the budget makers for the FY27 capital. However, in the 5-year capital plan, these are the projects that have been identified, including the roof at the Pine Hill School, some additional HVAC at the regional school, and a number of other projects. It's likely that the Pine Hill roof will get deferred again. That project has been deferred several years. It's likely that roof replacement for Pine Hill will get deferred by the school department.
Is that based on an actual evaluation of the roof?
Just what I'm hearing.
Okay. I just don't want them to keep on deferring it until it physically starts leaking into the building.
Also where the robotic mowers may also get deferred. That was deferred from FY26. So I captured it here as a possible, but that may also be pushed out. And one to keep an eye on is the refurbishment of engine 3 for the fire department. That may be a larger number based on what the engine needs.
Some of these may be offset by grants. I mean, I'm looking at the zoning bylaw review. That's already been offset by a grant, I believe.
Yeah, so that was approved last year.
Right, last year.
So an additional 95,000 was received in grant funding. That doesn't mean that the 75 is
Also needed.
Talking to Heidi, there should be some balance left, but
Has
she
that work
needed more
begun?
than the 95 to cover the work that she wanted to get done.
Is that work underway?
Not yet.
Okay.
She's seeking price quotations.
Chairman, the FY27 on the rec
Actually,
projects.
Heidi has her hand up.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, I was just going to give a quick update when you asked about that. So the zoning bylaw review was for zoning and mapping updates to 75. And when we asked what the legal review would be, and the bid from Petrini came in at 66,000 just for the legal, not even the technical. So the 95 is getting added to it so that we can do a really good project review, and we will still have money to do mapping updates. So funds are still needed to make that project complete, and the 95 added to it to make it a complete project.
Well, we're on this. I can give an update on a couple of one more project up there, the tennis pickleball courts. We had a bid opening last Friday, very competitive bid. There were 8 bidders on the project. Parent low bid is very affordable. We're checking references for that bidder now. However, we're anticipating, awarding that contract for about $440,000, which is certainly well within the appropriated amount.
It's a full, not resurfacing,
Full scope, yeah.
full scope.
Yeah.
What's the timing on that?
It would be completed in the spring.
Great.
That's amazing.
Jeremy, on the FY27 projects, on the rec projects, the Laurel Field maintenance shed and filling, is that a new project or was that in the plan last year?
That was in the 5-year plan last year
Okay.
for FY27.
Okay.
I
I
don't
think
have a
it might
lot
be
of
tied to
detail
the
on that.
mowing, like the robotic mowers might need a house. Are they tied together, those two? I think.
I think it's for storage of equipment such as
Yeah, but I think they're
that.
worried about the robotic mowers too. I forget. I thought that there was some linkage there.
I really
may be
defer
wrong.
to the commission on what they're envisioning, but it was in the plan for this year.
Okay.
They'll need to develop, their justification and
Yeah.
fine-tune costs.
That's a pretty expensive maintenance.
It notes a pavilion as well, like maybe some sort of canopy structure.
Yeah, maybe.
For rain.
We can rent it out as
times or something.
a residential unit. if it
At weddings, maybe.
Yeah.
Right there on the sports fields.
That's what I have for you as far as where we're at and some thoughts about FY27 and budget development. The advisory has put forward their meeting dates. They are likely to have the advisory public hearing on March 21st, that's Saturday. And the annual town meeting will be on April 28th. Town elections are on May 12th. So, using those dates and backing up, you can kind of arrive at when things need to get done. Given your schedule, the select board schedule, we might suggest that you open the town meeting warrant at your December 4th meeting and then close the town meeting warrant on January 22nd. So just to put those dates on your radar.
Okay, great. Anybody have, I think we've been asking questions as we go along, so probably no additional questions. Well, once again, as usual, thank you for putting this all together, Jeremy. It really makes it a lot easier to visualize the elements of the budget and then also the timeline and everything, to just have an idea of what we're dealing with. I do feel like previous years before you were here, many years, it just felt like we were kind of bushwhacking through the jungle as we went, and we really didn't know what was coming up. But now I feel like we generally have a better handle on the things that are looming over the horizon, which I think it makes things a lot easier to handle. So thank you very much.
Also, I should say, it's really great for the public of the town. For the first time, they can really see where their tax money is going in some detail and what the rationales are. Really good.
Yeah. It would be good for us to strategize the free cash a little bit better, given, our target is 5% and we're 8-9% or so. And with the levy capacity going down and down and down, I feel like there's probably ways that we could utilize that free cash, especially for these bigger ticket capital items, and especially if it makes sense to be putting more of this into the capital stabilization fund and then be paying for a lot of this out of the stabilization fund, just in an attempt to reduce the debt service. I do know that in previous years, the town was dinged for utilizing free cash as a method to reduce the tax rate, but I don't know that paying for capital items is one of the ways that it's pretty generally considered acceptable use of free cash, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like we're using it to pay down the operating budget.
Yeah, generally using it for an operating budget, generally is looked at as a structural budget deficit. You're not
Right,
funding revenues to support your expenses, but
right.
one-time capital expenses are certainly it's a good thing to use free cash for.
And as Jeremy mentioned, right, as part of that thinking through, right, there's also the chunk of library money.
Yeah.
Which could be used for similar purposes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's probably something to think about for this coming year. Great. All right. Next we have consideration of appointment, John Rose as Assistant Plumbing and Gas Inspector for a term to expire June 15th, 2028.
I would move approval.
All right, we don't have Paul here to instantly make the motion. All right, so moved,
We can meet him some other time.
As I second.
moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. All right, item 7, the consent agenda.
I move approval, if Paul's not here, I'll move approval of the consent agenda also. Unless you have any comments on the minutes, but I don't.
I don't.
I don't. So I second.
All right, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Select board reports?
I have one
Go ahead.
short one. I just wanted to pick up on something that Sean said. He mentioned the couple of $100,000 grants for public water supply. And I think one of those actually officially came in since our last meeting. So I just wanted to acknowledge what must have been the huge amount of work that Sean and Jeremy did to bring those in. That is just,
That was for Woodhaven?
I think one for Woodhaven and one for Pine Hill. And
One
Good.
for Woodhaven and one for the town.
oh, for the town. And Sean said possibly
Possibly
another
a
one
third.
for Pine
We're in
Hill.
queue for.
So you guys did a ton of work to make that happen, and it's great, excellent. Thank you for the great work on that.
Yes, indeed.
Kudos.
I have one select board report, well, sort of report and sort of pseudo asking the rest of you for approval, I suppose, but the region has begun the negotiation process with the DSEA, and we never officially voted for me as the representative, but I had said essentially that I would do it. That was my excuse to not be the representative for the police. So I'm going to give you all the last chance to volunteer to be the select board representative for the teachers union negotiation. Otherwise, we've already had one meeting, so.
I
Well,
nominate
given
Steve.
that my kids are in their mid-30s, I'm not too concerned about what you do.
I would love to, but I'm prior committed to the
Yes,
police,
so
negotiation.
true. Yeah, no, yeah,
Teams will appreciate it.
You're
the
doing a great
first,
job.
the first meeting was last week, and it was just like an introductory informational meeting just with the regional schools side. So because our last meeting was canceled, I wasn't able to give the select board a report to officially make myself the the representative.
Do you want to vote or just?
No, we shouldn't for a select board report anyways. But so I was just assuming that I'm going to be the person short
That's a lot of work, though.
Short of any-
Appreciate it.
and
Yeah,
objectives.
absolutely. And thank you for doing
George
that.
Morrow, she's,
So if anyone asks, Steve is our representative.
he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a vested interest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the only one with any kids in the school. But to that end, Jeremy, one of our meetings in November is like going to be when they want sort of like town budgetary presentation, to basically everybody.
Mhm.
So I was hoping that I could basically use some of your slides.
Oh, sorry.
Essentially just, I think probably some of the slides that you had here, if I could just get them in PowerPoint
Sure.
format so that I can present them to the
That's great.
to the region and to the teachers union. Hammer home the fact that our budget is tight and it's going down, or our buffer is going down. All right, so that's that, and I'll keep you guys apprised of things that are going on there. We're meeting every 2 weeks or so, I think. So we'll see how that goes.
They fund the legal in the school budget for that, don't they?
Yes, yeah, they've got their own legal counsel for that. Yeah, and they also just recently joined their own whatever coalition that has data from lots and lots of other
Yeah, it's the same
CBAs.
platform, analytics platform.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, so
Yeah, one
That'll be-
other thing I just want to mention while I'm here with Jeremy. Before we go too far forward, I'd like to have a nice set of instructions to board and committee chairs who want to put together a support letter.
Mhm.
Because actually, in practice, it's not that simple.
Yeah. We can bullet out how to
Let's
do
just,
it.
yeah.
And
And I think Jeff's going to send
also
something.
offer that I could sit with them as they do it if they wanted to come in.
Right,
Walk them
okay.
through it on a laptop or something.
can you
So-
send that to me also? Because I haven't actually contacted the
Yeah.
board chairs that I'm supposed to contact because I'm
Oh,
still
right.
like, I don't
Yeah.
actually know what instructions to give them yet.
It's just as well because the
Yeah.
instructions haven't been clear.
Yeah.
And now we'll have some clear instructions. So, yeah, I guess we can, the Water Sewer District Commission sort of delegated different members of the commission to talk to different boards.
Mhm.
So we can go back to Andrea and others on the commission to try to get to everybody. So,
All right, town administrator updates.
Sure. A handful for you. The town auditor has completed the work they need to do here to audit FY '25. However, one of the components they need before they can complete the audit, give us a draft and give you a presentation, is related to the Middlesex County retirement system. We need audit results from them. Apparently, they are having difficulty or had difficulty securing an auditor. Big shakeup in the auditing world, apparently, some big purchase of small audit firms by a large company that
Private
have
equity.
shaken up availability for auditors. So in any event, it's going to delay they've done all the work. They've indicated they didn't find anything of issue or they pointed out already. But your audit presentation and receipt of the draft audit won't be until December. It's about a month later than you typically see it. So I just want to give you that heads up, but they've done everything they needed to do here. Just waiting on that information to inform it. Didn't note anything of substance. So just because it's later, it's not because there's anything bad. Update on the Sherborn History Center. It's been a working group developing the MOU and helping with the development of the project plans for the fit out in the library basement. There's a draft MOU that everybody has informed, town council has assisted with. That'll be coming forward for the select board to formally approve shortly. Council has also advised that there should be an RFP and a lease in place prior to occupancy. Council has drafted that RFP, a request for proposals that we'll need to advertise. And they've also drafted a lease agreement. Shortly, I'll provide drafts of that to the select board because you will be party to both the MOU and the lease. As far as the project development, design development, they are preparing the final design plans, the final bid specs. We should see those about the third week in October. We'll have a week or so to review, and then we will be ready to bid the project. Based on the schedule provided by the architect, we may have bids in hand from a general contractor mid to late December to be able to enter a contract. I mean, at that point, we will need to have all funds in hand from the donor to be able to enter into that contract. But things are progressing rapidly there. And you'll see an agenda item to approve the MOU or discuss the MOU and the lease and RFP documents. And then just I'll end with two.
It's a super good project for them because there's no outdoor work. I mean, they're looking for things to do in December, so this is actually an ideal project for that.
And two fun things, Halloween related. The Police Officers Union or Association has an event planned for Saturday, October 25th in the afternoon, called Pumpkins on Patrol or in Patrol, for kids to come 11 a.m. to 3. So that sounds like a fun event. And your shared sustainability coordinator with Holliston has put together a fun event post-Halloween. She's lined up with Holliston and Sherborn folks are invited to catapult your pumpkin, your jack-o'-lantern. You can go there and there's a big catapult, a big trebuchet actually, that will launch your pumpkin, send it as far as you can, smash it, and all the pumpkins will be composted by Black Earth. It's a composting education event. All
What's her
Sherborn
name
folks
again?
are
Amelia?
welcome.
Amelia.
Amelia, yeah.
And the extras can go to Unity Farm.
Land
They're always
Yeah,
looking for pumpkins.
Land out.
Yeah,
Landau.
and that's on November 9th from 1 to 4 p.m. at Weston Pond in Holliston.
Oh.
There's no sign up needed. You can just show up with the pumpkin and they'll launch it. That's all I got.
Great, thank you so much. Motion relative to the meeting?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. All right, meeting is adjourned at 9:00.